not so used to physical exercise like the strolling, as you mentioned, they would have to up their game and learn a few things, and then also plead with the government to do the needful. If it's with fixing our refineries or looking out for ways to cushion the effect, the people truly need at this time. Nigerians are stretched at this point. When the fuel price was jacked up a few months ago, Nigerians really complain. So you can imagine what's happening now with Nigerians. And some already even saying that give or takes in a few months, it might also increase. If it's this difficult now, so many of them are wondering what it would be like in a few months if it increases with about 150 naira or even 100 naira.
Yeah.
So it's just brace up for the reality, the current situation going on in the country. Continue to learn, look out for ways to manage your money. If it's not necessary to go out, to be out there, just stay indoors.
Do you think this will increase?
So, because when the little thing you are getting, let me take those people that stand by the bus stop to load car.
Yeah.
These days, drivers find it difficult to even give them money. So, we are entertainers. Sometimes we go out, we see all these things. Drivers find it difficult to give them.
As those loaders,
yes,
they call them Ocho passenger.
Those are They find it difficult to even give them. So they fight. So now when that is your job, according to them, because I was arguing with one man, he said, this will then go find work. I told the man, if they go find work, now you go do their work. So if they cannot make something out of that little thing they are doing, if you have a criminal mind, you go and steal. You go and steal from somebody, it will increase criminality, and it will increase the stealing of phones.
Exactly.
Because that's one easy way to get money.
A member of my family lost her phone yesterday.
It will increase the one chance. Because some vehicle might want to say, okay, I'll carry you for 100 naira, a fare that's supposed to be 200. And then you enter, they apprehend, everything will go off you.
Now, how is it affecting events in Port Harcourt? Because most social crawlers, most socialites who go out nightclubs, go for events, definitely will have to reduce the trend.
Yes, it is really, really affecting. Because even the bookings, they don't, the people that...
What do you mean by bookings? I'm a bushman.
I don't socialize. What I mean by booking, negotiating, engaging an artist or engaging a decorator or engaging any of the arts for an event, they still want to pay the old price. They forget that we also go to the market the same way they go. So it is really, really affecting. A friend of mine who is also into decoration, she was, we were discussing 2 days ago, and she said she had to tell her customers plainly that even the vehicle that conveys her decoration material to the place of event have increased. So which means they also have to step up. So it is affecting. Somebody called me 2 days, yesterday, is my friend a priest, he called me for his event. And I was telling him that, Father, the envelope need to pass before. But he was still bent on the old envelope price. So we just have to adjust. Just that the average Nigerian man, the socialized Nigerian man will always go out to take one bottle. Irrespective of how biting the economy is. He will tell you that, my brother, man must take something to survive. So,
well, I think it's a very serious issue.
These days are not, you don't see the lot of people you expect,
you know,
especially in this town. When you put up a show, because of the hardship. Now, when you pay ticket for the show, I will take transport, go the show.
So, while you're at the show, you might even want to sip something. How would you buy that?
And when you don't sip,
so what should be our priority now as suffering Nigerians? What should be our priority?
Well, surviving. You look at your basics.
Yes,
your accommodation, your feeding. You look out for those ones first.
Those ones. So, and then what do you want this comedian and entertainer to do? If you're talking about your basics.
No, we'll just need to adjust. We'll just adjust. But our appeal.
So how do you get more of your income if every Nigerian has to adjust to the basics of eating and taking care of himself?
Like for me, when you book me, you need to give me extra time to appear for that event, because I might be trekking, even though I'll start early. I might be trekking to that event. When I don't come on time, you just manage the last 15-20 minutes that I'll get there. But one truth is that we Nigerians, we are very strong people.
Indeed.
Even as the war is going on in Ukraine, some persons are planning to travel there so that they can buy scrap and import. Yes, we know how to manage all these situations. But I will appeal more on the...
But don't tell me Nigerians are suicidal.
We sometimes we are. We fight it hard. In fact, we are the only people that can work on a very serious situation. We see it as a life. We begin to see this thing as a lifestyle as it goes on.
Yes,
remember the scarcity of money. Some persons were buying 10,000 with 5,000 as charge.
Yeah.
So, but it got to a point we're just enjoying it, moving on. The ones that will die will die. The ones that will continue. Even I want to appeal more on the ladies because they spend so much extravagantly.
The ladies?
Yeah, they need to cut down because you can
see what I'm doing.
Okay, is it Rema or what?
Because I'm going to get you on that.
No. The ladies need to cut down.
Yes.
Only their hair, they are spending 200, 300 just to wear on the head. And then the lashes, the nails, they go to expensive places. And these are not edibles, they are not drinkables.
These things are keeping a lot of women happy. And you know, we need that.
With the Mary Kay and all that. I know you are not a Mary Kay fan.
I am, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
How can a girl what, by the time you assess her, she's worth 600,000 in her appearance.
Just one look.
One look. And then she doesn't have money to eat.
Oh my God. Well, let's take the next story. It's also in business and economy. Port Harcourt Electrician Distribution Company has sought an out-of-court settlement with the chairman of Emoa local government, Dr. Chidi Lloyd. The company's decision came after Lloyd instituted a 5 billion suit for damages and breach of contract entered in November 2022. Recall that in May, the council boss instituted a 5 billion suit against the PHCD DC over breach of contract to restore electricity in Emoa local government council after paying 50% as being the council's part of the funds required for the restoration of electricity in the memorandum of understanding entered with PHED in December 2022, for which the PHED was alleged to have failed to carry out. When the matter was mentioned in the Rivers State High Court sitting in Port Harcourt yesterday, counsel to PHCD, the EO Imoriwea, notified the court of the defendant's intention to settle out of court, thereby requesting the court to accept the terms of the agreement as consent judgment of the court. Justice Aprioku consequently adjourned to October 5 for the final determination of the matter. Addressing newsmen outside the courtroom, Lloyd's counsel, Professor Emiri, said the PHEDC initiated the out-of-court settlement while reassuring that by August 31st, the council will be connected to the grid. So we have this problem. Yesterday I was talking about Emoa local government, Ikuru local government being out of power for a very long time. And this is the outcome of that. And because we had vandalized, there were vandalized NEPA lines by some miscreants, scrupulous elements, and ironmongers who are from outside the state, and then some court movements within the place too. And over time, and the council did what it did, and the community people also raised some funds. I know that at Elila Limini, Elila Kenel, and some part of Emoa local government, Ikuru local government, this problem has persisted for a very long time, more than 24 months. And you go to court to seek remedy on an issue that should have ordinarily been settled before now.
Yes.
Because it's the responsibility of NEPA to put people back to the grid whenever there is a disruption. And this time the community have paid their part. How do you see the operation of electricity by PHEDC in Rivers State?
I don't think anybody will even score them 50%. You know, the Emoha council boss is a character. I think they don't want to have issues with the only man whom Wike could make cry in one of their commissioning. He was just crying with tears of joy for what Wike...
Well, that was tears of joy. He wasn't crying for weakness.
He actually cried. You know, the former governor is used to making us happy. Whenever we watch his clips, were happy, they danced and all that, but that very day, you made him cry. So back to the discussion. You see, this PHED, I don't think anybody will score them high. They have been, from their old practice of NEPA till date, they give you estimated bill. Even when you're using prepaid, you don't still get the value of what you are paying for. They just come up with an overestimated bill, and they expect you to pay. Even when, let's take for instance, in your last month, you paid 20,000. They won't inform you for your next month. They will give you the next bill, for instance, 30,000. And if you don't pay, they cut your light. No pre-information.
Yes, and they were talking about large-scale metering. Do you think that's going to solve this problem of poor estimated bill that has become so astronomical and people can pay? If they do large-scale compulsory metering across the country, do you think that will solve the problem?
I don't think that will solve the problem.
Especially pay as you go.
I don't think that would solve the problem. Like he mentioned,
yes.
We can't score PHED high. We've looked at their level of competence and it's been poor. I remember the first time I took a call on the newspaper headlines review in the morning, and someone from that area mentioned that they had been, without electricity for a very long time, and it was so shocking to hear. And some people also mentioned, what is the local government doing about it?
And we can see
now we see that the local government was doing something about it. And now with what we are hearing recently, how did they leave the people in that situation for a very long time for something that could have been settled the way it has been settled?
Now they want to settle out of court.
Now you want to settle out of court.
No, I think that let's put our fingers crossed by 31st of December or by December there will be light to be restored in this. Some communities are making efforts, but they are seeking the cooperation of PHED to actually restore power to those areas so that they can, because some of those areas have economic viability. And,
true.
And SMEs are suffering. People are burning diesel. I told somebody yesterday that I come from that area, and in my country home we burn diesel because we use diesel generating plant, and that's more expensive. Okay, federal government through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has said it will release a list of illegally unregistered digital loan apps. This is a very serious matter operating in Nigeria. It also said it will delist 2 legal loan apps from Google Play Store for harassing Nigerians. They do. According to the FCCPC, it had added digital money lenders that had refused or failed to register under its guidelines or its watch list for strict surveillance and necessary action. In a statement signed by Executive Vice Chairman, Chief Executive Officer Babatunde Irukera, the FCCPC said the Commission has also placed digital money lenders that have refused to or failed to register under the guidelines. You see, this is a matter. I didn't know they were regulated.
Because there should be some form of
I'm even surprised that until now we can find out that there are some who are not even registered. So
yes.
how are they rendering services?
But if they are registered, the amount of harassment I see on social media, people go there, take loans, before you know it, maybe they forget. They put them all over the place, call them thieves, call them criminals, wanted, all manner of things.
There are also cases of obituaries.
Obituaries?
Yes.
And what manner of Nigerians are we?
I think if the
social media bullying people.
If the federal government will be sincere in this, I think they need to close a lot of apps.
They just scrap that loan
app. One that
it doesn't make sense.
Me in this app issue is someone would take a loan without informing me.
Yes.
And then I don't know how they get hold of my number.
And they'll call me
a text that this person is a criminal, is being wanted. If I don't find any decent, they will.
Sometimes they're lying because what they do is they go online, get the person's contact. Somebody called me and told me about a son of a friend, that avoid him and all manner of labels that were false, found to be false. So I think that some of this, and of course the family threatened court action and vowed that they were going to trace them and deal with them, and they apologized. Some of these groups, some of these apps should be deleted. Should be scrapped.
When MMM succeeded,
yes,
this whole thing began to come up in their large numbers, and people still fall to it. Imagine where a bank would tell you please do not disclose your BVN.
Exactly.
Yes, your details.
And then you need your BVN to get that loan.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, when you're unable to pay, or when the company runs, they deduct everything from your account, and then they will make away with your...
Well, we'll go on a 2-minute water break, and when we come back, we'll continue with business and economy. Don't get away. You're welcome back from the water break. But the comedian here said there was no water. I said, there's no water. What do? You swallow your spittle. No, when you have a comedian in your show, it's all fun. Yes, we have natural water in our system. But it's a water break. At least you took a deep breath. You took a deep breath. You took a deep breath. So that's the break. It is still 8 p.m. Saturday. Your flagship show every Saturday, 3 hours, full blast. Now let's look at some stories. More stories. International Monetary Fund has said that a strong policy framework that ensures macroeconomic stability and promotes a favorable business environment is crucial to the success of intra-African trade. This was contained in an IMF report titled "In Trade Integration in Africa, Unleashing the Continent's Potential in a Changing World." I like that continent potential. According to the report, empirical analysis finds that a reform agenda aimed at implementing AfCFTA plans to lower both tariffs and non-tariff measures, when combined with substantial improvements in the trade environment, has the potential to boost Africa's intra-regional and overall merchandise trades substantially. The report noted that a strengthening of the overall trade environment will boost services trade as well, which will be further enhanced by services trade liberalization. Most times they talk about Africa being potential, having potential for success, having potential for prosperity. And we begin to ask, why have we not been prosperous so far in what we do? And we're talking about framework to intra-African trade success. You know, my problem with IMF is that they always come with this issue of, dictating for Africa what to do. Sometimes they tell you to devalue your currency and all that. Do they really mean well for us? But here they sound much more patronizing. What's your take on this?
You know, Africans, especially Nigeria, we are great people. We know how to make nothing to become something. You see, even in the economy, the private sector strive more than when the government puts hands in the economy system. You can take, for instance, today, a lot of people are recycling. They are recycling. They can pick this can, gather them, scale them, and get money from it. Meanwhile, we drink and throw away into the trash. They go and pick it, and then they recycle it.
Yeah.
They pick cartons. There's nothing that is waste now. They pick cartons. You're
talking about recycling.
Yes, they pick cartons,
yeah.
and so the economy. This our economy cannot kill us, Nigerian especially, because we have ways. You know, just like we comedians, some of us, it was poverty that made us discover our talent. Because we need to feed, and then you discover that you can make one funny jokes. Why don't you commercialize it? You see, that is how we control our own economy system privately in this our nation.
I think Africa, the African nation, we've looked at more of governance than the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, within individual countries, we hear of various things going on around, putting Africa in a good light outside the country.
Now, talking about intra-trade, because we're talking about intra-African trade, the commodities that we trade appears to have diminished, as it were, because of poor productivity in Africa. You can see that we have poor GDP. That's the problem. Our GDP is a reflection of how productive a country is. Nigeria is a monocultural economy, so it's more of oil export.
Yes.
Just recently, they were talking about gas too. We are doing trans-African gas pipelines to carry gas to 11 African countries, and that will boost intra-African trade in gas. And another thing that is also affecting intra-African trade is smuggling across the borders, and that has been a problem. So I think that the IMS looking at a new framework that will boost a more healthy and much more mutually beneficial intra-trade in Africa. You smuggle Nigerian coconut, you smuggle Nigerian goods and all that. That is not the kind of trade that will bring prosperity to any country at all. And so it is important that this framework be viewed from a more holistic perspective to look at the entire character and behavioral pattern of trading, of traders across the borders in Africa. People have talked about single currency, but that one is another disaster that most Nigerians don't want to talk about, because they are saying that if you talk of a single currency in West African sub-region, for example, you will be creating a big burden on Nigeria.
Yes.
So can we talk more about this framework that can, boost a more favorable and much more mutually beneficial trade relationship across our borders?
I think just like you did mention, I'll take you back to one discussion that we just had some few minutes ago.
Yeah.
You see the issue disturbing the trade system, because I'll give you the local man that is grinding engine to prepare cassava, process cassava into gari, and then you don't have light. You now go for fuel that is high. You cannot boost your system.
So, and if you don't produce, you can't sell.
If you don't produce,
not talk about selling across the borders.
And those that are to buy from you, if they don't have the amount you want to sell, they can't buy.
So now we're talking about internal productivity. Being able to produce, to sell within and outside. That's what he's talking about.
Yes.
There are certain factors that are fair. That's ease of doing business.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
We should have conversations. The African countries should have conversations where they feel they want help, where are they lacking, and how can Nigeria help. That would boost the intra-African trade success. Yes. And also with services, it appears as though some African countries put a lot of restrictions in place for Nigerians who may want to travel there and then offer some services. That's still trade.
Okay, trade. Yes, services.
That's
because talk about trade and services.
And services. That's still trade. So I feel like conversations really should happen between these African countries.
They've had a lot of conversation. They've had a lot of conventions and the rest.
That's how we're talking about framework.
Implementing the whole thing is the problem.
Okay.
I think the government need to do more. Just like I will still hit it hard on the electricity, because it does a whole lot. with electricity, it will reduce criminality. Are you aware? Because if the ordinary man is in the house watching the home videos that we produce, he won't go outside to steal. But because of the heat, he will go outside to look for one or two things to fix himself. So with the electricity, the barber that is cutting the hair will need to be fast, also making money, and then you can buy from the market, and that can also help the intra-trade relationship.
So we're talking about the framework to inter-trade African trade, inter-country tax, and insecurity, and xenophobia. Xenophobia is another factor. Our trade relation with South Africa was affected seriously because of xenophobic factors, and that is another problem. It's not only about South Africa. There are very salient and silent, will I say, xenophobic activities across the borders. And unless this tide of xenophobic activities are stemmed, you cannot have smooth intra-trade relationship. Africans must learn to love themselves, because that is the problem. We don't love ourselves. And there's mutual suspicion between the Francophone and the Anglophone.
And the Anglophone countries, yes.
So sometimes you have language barrier too as a factor that is affecting intra-trade relationship. So, and then we've talked about low productivity, because if you don't produce what you sell.
Yes.
And what we end up with is smuggling. Smuggling is not legitimate trade. Can we look at this before we knock off?
It's smuggling.
Yes, smuggling.
You talked about.
So you see, if the average man want to produce based on the finances he has.
Yeah.
And when you go to the bank, you cannot get a loan because you don't
Ease
have
of
the
doing
collateral.
business.
So the average man, when you give him 10,000 naira, he'll produce within the confines of 10,000 naira, and he's going to sell low price. So because of our nature of extravagant lifestyle, we want to buy from outside, because we feel that one we buy abroad is more it has more quality, superior than that of. But sometimes what we produce our leather here, we can make shoes here, we can make a lot of things here, but we don't love buying from ourselves because of that low quality that we produce. And when you boost a trade, the person will have the higher grade and then the lower grade. But when the trade is not financed with a lot of money, you don't have access to loan, you cannot get fund, you just produce what you will be able to sell for the sake of peace.
Well, I think that one area of productivity that we need to encourage in Africa to encourage trade has to do with agriculture. Cereals, most of our cereals are gotten abroad. So you can't talk about rice and all that we import from Taiwan. And then when we import, then we now sell across the border. If we don't sell what we produce and we sell what we import, can that make for, successful trade? That's the problem.
It can't make for successful intra-trade. It's surprising because if not just even look at groundnuts, for example.
Yes.
Some African countries, they have homemade meals, delicacies that can be made also from groundnuts. So why not trade, agricultural products like that amongst ourselves?
Exactly.
Rather than looking out for how we could import some of these things.
Import and then sell.
Yes.
Because that's one of the thriving trade in Africa is selling of imported goods across the border. For example, cars from Cotonou and all that. So what can we do to boost our local production? That's the budget problem. You've talked about ease of doing business in some areas, SMEs and all that. But I think that the commonwealth from which we can derive legitimate trade and a mutually beneficial trade should be agriculture. And the last dispensation, Buhari administration talked about a boost in rice cultivation. And there are rice plains where you can cultivate rice. In River State here, for example, I used to hear about primary rice. I'm no longer hearing that. Primary rice. We have no, in the 70s. Okay, I'm sorry I'm talking to some very young people. Well, in the 70s we used to talk about primary rice, And today we are importing Indomie and even exporting Indomie. We across the borders.
Yes.
We used to talk about upland rice, you know. Some of these things can thrive. Abakaliki rice and all that. With a high boost in this area of production, agricultural production, we can increase our trade across the border. Because one thing about trade restrictions across the world is that there are certain products that we get from Africa that are not allowed into European markets.
Exactly.
And they can only be sold across the border. So if we want to increase our GDP and in Africa and increase our economic well-being, some of those Jankara products that Europe don't want to accept, let's produce them here and sell to our brothers across the border and make more money and increase our foreign reserve.
We need security.
Security is number one.
Yes, we need security because over the years we've come to understand that sometimes government put up policies, put up businesses, put up factories, or cannot properly manage them.
Yeah.
So that was what brought in the issue of private sector.
Yeah.
Now when a private sector wants to come and invest and you have no security, how do they get back their
That's
investment?
the problem.
You come to a particular state, it is insecure. Just like how the economy of the southeast is going down by the day. Port Harcourt is choked up with a lot of people. Some are coming in from those areas because of insecurity. That is why you see.
So they are leaving their farms and coming.
They are leaving their farms because they are not safe. You can't go to your farm and come back safe. If you have acres of land where farming is your business, how do you go? They say don't sit at home on Monday.
Yeah.
You cannot go.
In the southeast.
And Monday is the beginning of doing business. So you cannot go on Monday. Even on Tuesday you are going with fear. Just like the recent one, they say 2 weeks. There's been this threat of 2 weeks sit at home that will begin from the end of this month, 31st. So imagine from now, some persons are even afraid of producing. Because by the time you produce now, and then you are unable to finish your product before the 2 weeks, your money is gone.
Yes, another product apart from agricultural product that can boost this intra-African trade, especially from Nigeria and Ghana, is fabrics.
Yes.
The Adire, for example, in the Ekiti State and some part of Northwest, they have made so much, progress in this area, and it's a very popular trade commodity. And then the Ghana kente that used to come from Ghana.
Yes.
You also have issue of fabrics from Kanu. They make a lot of fabrics. And then right here in the south and southeast, you have the Akwete cloth. If there's a boost in the production of some of these products, they will become veritable intra-trade commodity within the West African sub-region. Right now, our president is the chairman of ECOWAS, for example.
Yes.
So when you talk about intra-African trade, you start from home, and the home we are talking about is ECOWAS, West African sub-region. So if we're able to have, a boost in our productivity profile, especially in area of agriculture and fabrics, these are the common, commodities, and then maybe footwears.
Yes.
These three areas are most. Yes.
Right now, it seems as though they can just meet local consumption.
Consumption, I think that's the problem.
And not make enough to send outside the shores.
Yes.
And very few can say that they can produce enough that will meet the needs of other countries like Benin Republic or even Ghana.
And we patronize more of the local fabrics than there was a time when these foreign clothes were the norms.
Norms, okay.
But right now, a lot of people have gone past that level. Even they use local fabric to make suits. If you check the senators in the chambers, what they wear is our local fabrics. The artists, they are now going back. Gone are the days when artists will want to wear jeans and sag it. But right now they wear the local Ankara as trousers.
And still sag it. They wear local Ankara. And it's a common thing in Africa because African fabrics have become very popular.
Yes.
And most of our fabrics get up to Kenya and South Africa. And, there's a popular market in Johannesburg where you have fabrics, especially the Adire And what was the other one?
You mean the
Batik,
Ghana?
Adire and the Batik. These are some of our fabrics.
Yes.
I think when you talk about intra-African trade, what comes to my mind are these.
Yes.
And then cereals too are becoming very important. If we consolidate within the African continent, I think we will no longer be a dumping ground for the world, because Africa over time has just become a place for exportation of raw materials. We export raw materials and buy finished products from the metropolitan countries of Europe and America, and then buy cereals from Taiwan, from Asia, and all that. Africa can only be prosperous if we begin to look inwards and produce and buy the things we need within us. Though I know that foreign trade is also, external trade can also boost economic prosperity. If we succeed in making our goods and services very good here and make them very acceptable across the world within Africa, we can fine-tune them to a point where they will accept. That's another point.
Yes, it is.
And that because we are crazy about export, we are beginning to deprive ourselves of some of the things we need to survive as a people, and the cost of those products are going high. What do you think?
I really don't agree with that.
Okay.
I think that we produce more of the fabrics.
Okay.
And we consume more of the fabrics.
Okay.
We are entertainers.
Yeah.
And if you check very well, the last time you went for a function,
yeah,
if there were 100 that attended, 80 were wearing Nigerian fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
Even it has gotten to our subconsciousness that.
So do we have enough? Is our capacity production enough?
When you are given an invitation, you begin to look for what you want to sew, what kind of material I will use for that function, and you bring your mind to the local fabric. I think the problem we have here is the cost of production.
Okay.
We want quality production, and we don't have the capacity for quality production. Because if we do, we will produce quality clothes or quality fabrics. So that little one that we are able to produce, we find it difficult to patronize. Before, this Ankara used to be original. But right now,
there's one that's coming from China.
I'm telling you.
And the Nigerians are not happy about it.
There's one they gave me for a friend's mother's burial. Before I could get to the venue, the whole thing don't tear.
So if it is not Adire, it is not Adire.
So
the Ghanaian, the Chinese brand is not superior.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we want to make more money from the thing.
So we'll go and import.
And those
that importing Kente from Ghana.
That wants to buy want quality material.
Yes.
Meanwhile, these other people, they are doing it to get to the common man, so that you still wear the same thing.
Exactly.
But in different quality.
So what's the cost factor? Is the cost responsible for this faking and buying manufactured?
The cost is one thing, right? But I think probably because the government doesn't pay closer attention to that sector, so there's no proper regulation. They don't really see that that's actually happening, but it is happening.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
You human trafficker.
Honourable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
If you just joined us, you are watching Atlantic Television Saturday on Atlantic Television Network. ATN Saturday is your magazine show where our correspondents bring in reports, and we do special reports and bring track-ups across the country that will inform, educate, and entertain you. And today we are starting on government. Okay, we are closing our segment, that's governance and politics, and we're starting with a special report. That special report is on manhole theft and risk implication on urban development. Governance and policy, like I said today, our correspondent Ray Mbata filed in a feature on the ignoble act of manhole theft in the state capital, Rivers State. This development is a sad commentary on city logistics. What's a manhole? A manhole is a small covered opening in a paved area, serving as drainage to floodwaters and rainfall. Workers can open them to inspect and deseal drainages whenever the need arises, and they also house telecommunication cables and infrastructure. Unbridled theft of these manhole covers have left gaping holes that are dangerous to pedestrians who step into it during flooding. Some manholes are deep as 15 feet and are mostly located at walkways for pedestrians. In January 2019, Rivers State Ministry of Information put up a bounty of 100,000 naira for anyone with information that will lead to the arrest and prosecution of manhole cover thieves. Also in July 2023, Rivers State House of Assembly of manhole covers. Correspondent electrodes, or making use of plastic covers instead of steel. Once, others talked about the laxity in security as the culprits operate by dusk unchallenged. They finger scrap metal scavengers and dealers as prime suspects in this regard. Counting on both sides of the Rumo Okuta Choba Road, correspondent Ray Mbata counted an average of 100 open manholes, 100 in just one place, without covers, with most of them having no caution signs to alert unsuspecting pedestrians of impending danger. Witnesses recounted of several victims who have been maimed and almost drowned, with some of them spending overnight before help came. They asked for the relevant authorities to step in to save pedestrians from harm and possible deaths. Let's look at his report. Ray Mbata reports.
A manhole is a small covered opening that is serving as a drainage during flooding. Most of the time, we find that the manholes and their covers are left gaping open, which is very dangerous in case anybody comes during flood and wants to step into it. We want to find out why these manhole covers are being stolen and the direct dangers they pose to passers-by along the streets of Port Harcourt.
Right now we are saying that this thing that is happening is something that is not supposed to happen. One, our state is not secure. Reason? The reason is this. You know, when it comes to state, you know, they spend money to do this, to cover the drainage. But at the end, this outside that push truck, they are the one that lose it. And when they normally lose it is when they know that nobody is moving on the road. Nobody's looking at them. It's when they will move it. And when they move it, when they remove it permanent, they should use weather to weld it so that they will not remove it again with their cutter.
Yeah, it's because of those that buy scraps. Do you understand me? Because when you look at most people, you see most of them at times opening it. When you ask them, they said they are working. They want to work. At the end of everything, when you ask them to provide, you understand me? And it has a very injured. It was very injured. You understand me? It's very risky. So many people are falling inside the hole. And the government and the people that are doing this are supposed to help. They're supposed to put it a lock. That by the time you put it, you seal it. You use your machine, welding machine, to weld it. When you come for service, you still come with the equipment because they know it better than individuals. And even the people that work with them, most of them knows how to pull it off. So the area they should help to protect it is, by the time they finish the work, they have to uproot it. Because when you want to uproot it, you know the process that you will go. You will not be able to go there.
We all know that people that are doing those things are mainly those truck pushers. What do they call them? In those days we call them. Forgotten what we call them. Those guys that normally pick iron and the rest of it. Majority of them now are our boys. Them. So I believe they are the ones that normally go in the night to remove it, and it's causing a lot of problem and destroying so many cars because of that manhole. The government should ban mainly those truck pushers, those who are normally picked. The government should ban them, and doing plastic, they cannot steal it because of the cost of steel material in the market. So that's why they feel like one of those things can easily fetch them about 15 or 20,000.
The manhole covers have now been replaced with iron bars to make it safer in case people come by and they do not fall inside the hole. This iron is to protect them from that. This is a makeshift improvisation by the government to secure the lives of passers-by using this road. But we found out that many other people have preferred solutions leading to even making it plastic so that it repels people from stealing them, or using steel welding rods to seal them so that nobody can remove them. In as much as it may be, we believe that the Rivers State government should take note of the dangers that these open manhole covers pose and nip it in the bud. Reporting for Atlantic Television Network, I am Raymond.
Oh, yeah, welcome back. You've had Ray Mbata there doing what he knows how to do best. Last week he gave us an exciting report, and today we are seeing a report on manholes, the danger that they pose. I begin to wonder why Nigerians are like this. Vandalism of, common things that should give us joy, that should give us safety, should give us security. Simple manholes that you find in developed nations. It's an act of civilization to put manholes so that the water can drain properly. It's part of city logistics, urban infrastructure. And it's not only about manholes, you know that. We'll talk about other things that they do. Now, you can't see bus stops now the way they ought to be. They are either vandalized or used as makeshift homes for mad people. So our urban infrastructure is so vulnerable to all manner of threats, all manner of vandalism. And manhole is one area. There was a story in my one where somebody fell into a child in an open manhole, and the child's body was found at Intaoba Creek, some years ago. These are some of the dangers that we see.
Village people cannot protect what the government have put in place. You still want the government to protect that same thing. I think we've come to a level where whatever government is putting on ground, we should be the one to protect it. This manhole issue is posing a lot of threats to life, especially when there is rainfall. Let's leave that of rainfall. What about night?
And without street lights.
Without street
How
lights.
about the pollution?
You just walk and then you go inside. This boy is stealing this. They don't even think of what if it happens to them.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, we tend to, I think over here we have this problem of maintenance. Flood comes up and all that. So it is something that everybody, both the big and small, should be concerned with. Making sure that this thing functions the way it ought to function. And then on the part of government, knowing fully well that, okay, this is a challenge we are facing. Now these iron hunters, the cat pushers, okay, these cat pushers, they are within the state.
Yes.
Their dumping grounds are within the state. Why don't you just, you always have this task force here and there for vehicles, why can't you have a task force that will look into this? Okay, they were
the other long rods that you saw there in the picture, and that one seemed to have been sustainable because I don't see them removing that.
They welded that one. They welded it. Yes. So there is no way they can just pull it out. They need a machine to cut it.
They will cut it.
Okay, but with time they will find a way.
They will use saw.
So the important thing is let there be proper monitoring.
Yes, that's it.
And surveillance to protect our manholes and make Nigerians safe, because all over the country you have this menace. It's not just Nigeria. And we've seen some bit of governance in the report there, where Rivers House Assembly found us capable of distracting the judiciary from doing justice to the cases before them. Obi said this in a statement signed by the head Obi Dati Media Office, Diro Onifade, in Abuja on Friday. The media office said it has watched with profound concern the orchestration by agents of retrogression to distract and defocus the nation's judiciary from the critical national assignment before them. Yes, that is very, very important. I think this call is timely because, one, recently we saw a fake court, and that was refuted by the chief registrar of the appeal court. So this kind of pronouncement is a distraction.
The phone call of the Chief Justice
with Tinubu and all. These are distractions, and that may affect the final outcome of the appeal tribunal. So I think that something has to be done to dissuade fear or favor. And most of these pronouncements, either body language or actions through fake news and all kind of intimidating comments that I hear from the press, especially in the social media, have forms and ways of threatening that fairness of the judiciary, because they have to act without fear or favor.
You see, this whole thing started even pre-election era.
Yes. People were already talking about, will the judiciary be fair?
Yes, pre-election era, where they will be taking some excerpt of the president, make some derogatory statement and all that. I used to tell some of them that this will stop, will cut your candidate or your candidate the chances of
it will affect his chances.
It will affect the chances of winning an election. Now they are doing it again during court processes. Like, I know that when matters are in court, people should not interfere from outside.
It's sub judice, called sub judice.
So, but then, because of the social media, it's at every beck and call. One will just go on air, put up fake news. Recently, a lot of people were excited that this 25% will soon come to reality, and then Tinubu will be thrown out of
social media users. Okay, they know many Nigerians are interested in the outcome of the judicial process. So you see people, they want to do a whole lot of things to gain the attention of people, of their audience. So you see them coming up with different stories, and then they make this story look so attractive that if you're not smart enough, you buy it. Okay, so it is a good thing that Obi's team has come up to say, please stop doing this, so that it wouldn't be that someone out there might start pushing on that narrative that this is coming from this camp. Because definitely from the nature of the news, you won't say it is coming from the camp of the ruling party, although we cannot ascertain that.
Yes.
But it was structured.
Management of University of Lagos, Akoka, has reportedly increased fees for undergraduate students in the institution. This was contained in a statement dated July 20, 2023 by the Senior Staff Association of University of Nigeria, of Nigerian Universities, UNILAG branch, following a meeting with the top management staff. The union in the statement said the VC stated that fees would be increased for UNILAG undergraduate students. Recall that the students of the institution previously paid 19,000 naira, but the management has fixed the new fees at 190,000 naira and 150,000 for students studying medicine, while for courses that require and studio students are to pay 140,250 naira. According to SASNU, the VC Professor Folashade Ogunshola met with representatives of the three non-academic staff unions to discuss issues concerning members' welfare. Well, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll look at this story because it's very, very critical. Don't get away. 2 minutes water break. Welcome back. It's still governance and politics at the stable of ATN Saturday, our magazine program. Well, now look at the story we just trailed. The stories of increase in school fees, and you just said, one of my guests just said, have we turned UNILAG into a private university because of what we are seeing there. I think that is unfortunate because governance is becoming a very serious and precarious issue in Nigeria today because of the hardship that Nigerians are facing. And we seem to be making these governance issues worse by increase in virtually everything that yesterday we read about unity schools. I trailed
increase to 40, or I don't think that will even stand because it will result to a lot of protests. It will result to it may result to crisis in the school. We have seen some of these things play out when certain pronouncements like these are made. Because this pronouncement you did not even consider, according to Nigeria, they will say the poorest, according to the government, they will say the poorest of the poor. Some persons are in school sponsoring themselves. So how would such a person, that means if you continue to go by this rule, a lot of people will drop out.
Yeah. Now, if people cannot go to public,
when they drop out, they become nuisance to society.
If people cannot go to public university, a private university, they can also not go to public university. That is dangerous.
It is very bad.
You schooled at the Federal University of Nigeria, Nsukka.
Yes.
Now, if you had this kind of fee,
if I spend maybe 7 years at home without any job, then when I finally land a job, I should spend another 5 years paying that loan, repaying the loan. It will only lead to crisis.
So that's the problem we
lead
have.
To crisis at different levels, right from the school down to home and then in the street. It will affect every aspect of our life.
Rather than run a loan scheme for students, why not reduce the cost of education? Now, I remember in our time, you see what is going on now is very terrible. Before I entered the university, there was a called subsidized meal, and tuition was free. You paid only for accommodation. That time it was about 90 naira. And it was less than that before. I remember my other brother was in school, they were fed with 25 kobo per meal from a meal ticket. And that, when that was removed and increased to 50 kobo, there was a Limon school protest.
Yes,
which made Shegu Okewo very popular. Those of you who are very young, that's part of the history of student unionism in Nigeria. And Ali Mosgo was Colonel Aleden, who was the Minister of Education, what they call Federal Commissioner of Education then. So it resulted in a lot of problems in the system. And we entered and were enjoying 50 kobo per meal. And it was so rosy, we stayed 3 in a room and had fun. And most of the professors that are making these rules now, most of the people in council were part of that, paradise that we enjoyed that time. That's what we were talking about. And we saw that after that era into subsequent development in terms of student welfare and well-being, when some of these goodies were removed, the universities became glorified slums and all manner of criminality set in. Cultism became very high. Prostitution among students became very high, and then you begin to have a lot of unhygienic environment. James Ibori is facing a risk of a fresh 20-year jail term over money he is expected to pay following his conviction in a UK court in 2012. The court is set to order the seizure of more than £100 million from the former governor. The development comes about 6 years after Ibori returned to Nigeria following a prison sentence he served by money laundering and fraud charges. The British authorities had indicted the former governor for stealing public funds and laundering them through UK banks and properties. Judge David Temilson of the Southwark Crown Court has made factual findings regarding the amount of money linked to Ibori, who returned to Nigeria in 2017 after serving half his sentence, did not attend the hearing. The prosecution lawyer, Jonathan Kinaya, told the court that the total amount that should be confiscated from Ibori was £101.5 million. Kinaya told the court that if he fails to pay, he should face an additional prison term of 5 to 10 years. Oh my God. We're talking about bad governance, and you can see the backlash. Let's take this. That should be our last take for the program.
Ibori again. You see, in Nigeria, we glorify the corrupt people. In fact, we see them as role model because of poverty. See, rather than condemning what trade and all that, and he became a role model until he was apprehended. You see, in our country, when you steal money from government, or you do the so-called, in quote, 419 business, and then you have a lot of money, the next place you channel it is to go and contest election and hide yourself in government. Even sometimes the government will even protect you, and they're not letting you face your charges. So if government does not, project these people to the foreign government, especially when they steal from the foreign nations, bring them out, hand them over to that country for them to face their trials, it will continue. Rather than protecting these men after committing such heinous crimes, they come back and hide in the country. When they are being asked to come for questioning or arrest, the government want to protect them. We just glorify crime by doing so.
I think that with the problem we have in Nigeria is bad leadership, and corruption is one of the high points. Corrupt leaders, you saw how he was received. There was celebration
when he came back. There was a big. It was like a carnival. They gave him a heroic welcome. Now this is a man who has a case of laundering money meant for the people, the masses. And whom are those giving him this heroic welcome? The same masses. So, in as much as we may not like what is going on, okay, but we are part of the problem. A society, a leader is the way the people are. If we as a people don't give these people the kind of celebration they don't deserve, I don't think they will derive the pleasure they derive currently in doing these things. So you have politicians whom, even in recent cases, we had issues of alleged contestants having alleged criminal record here and there.
Yeah.
And then you see us supporting them, and somebody will tell you that was in the past. Yes, it is in the past, but we should know that punishment. Now, someone has a criminal record, and then
it is not our job. We're not part of it.
We are doing it for the white man.
We are doing it for the white man and those that took over from the white man. Go there and grab as much as you can.
And if you don't grab, when you come home, you're in big trouble.
Exactly. So that is the mentality. It is rooted in our culture and our mentality. We must look at this and change that mindset now that we have started governing us. Over time, some of these colonial vestiges, colonial mentality, infiltrate into modern day governance. My father used to tell me that those days when he went to Lagos and he came back in the colonial